Hi everyone, Ben here from Agency Express. Welcome back to Board Shots. Thank you so much for joining us once again. And today I am joined by what can only be described as Agency Express veterans on the podcast. Lovely franchisees up in sunny Yorkshire, and amazingly, it is sunny today. So rather than me introducing them, as I always do, I'm going to ask you guys to introduce yourselves. So over to you.
Hi, I'm Neil.
And I'm Julie.
And which area is it that you guys operate in?
We cover Bradford, Wakefield, and York.
Quite a stretch. Lots of territory. We'll come on to that in a minute because there's lots to talk about there. Guys, you've been with us now for, or rather, let's take a step back. Neil, you've been with us now for is more than 10 years, isn't it? Am I right? About 13 years, something in that.
13. I started in 2013.
So obviously you quite enjoy it. Putting up boards obviously seems to be doing something for you. I'll take that as a positive. How did it all start? How did you find out about Agency Express, and how did you get involved in franchising at that point?
Firstly, it was just something to, work for myself, looked online, see what franchises were out there, looked at a couple, looked at competitors, phoned you, and you said that we are the best at what we do. So, and I thought that, well,
if it was as simple as that, if it was as simple as that, I'd just say that every time someone phoned up.
Well, yeah, then obviously came to see you and Steve in Manchester.
Yes, that's right. The franchise exhibition.
Yeah. Got the interview, came down and seen you.
And that was that. And your first territory with us, Neil, was in Bradford. Was the first territory?
No.
That's right. Thank you. Take me back. And this is the wonderful thing about franchising. Stuff changes all the time. And so your first territory was Huddersfield and Halifax, and you operated that yourself. So how did Julie come into the picture? How did this all happen? Because at that point in time, you guys weren't married, were you?
No.
Okay, so tell me about that.
We've known.
We went to school together.
Each other for long, 47 years now. And, we just went through school together, knocked about together.
Went different ways in our early 20s, late teens.
Yeah.
And then in our 40s, mid-40s, Neil got in touch via social media. Obviously, I was living abroad at the time, and then it just went from one thing to another, really.
Wow. And Julie, you then, not only did you become Neil's wife, which actually happened after you became an Agency Express franchisee, we should clear up. So that, I think, makes us more important than Neil, but we'll glaze past that. You're actually an Agency Express franchisee as well. So how did that happen?
Neil had had Huddersfield, and then he got Bradford. He told me that he'd always wanted Wakefield as a territory. And it was just as if it was one of those things that was meant to be. I had a property that was sold, that got no mortgage, anything like that. So I had a good chunk in the bank. It doesn't do any good sitting in the bank. Wakefield came up for sale. Neil had got some money. So it was like, well, do we, don't we? So we met with Terry and Angie, didn't we? And it was like, yeah, this is what we want to do. So that was when I came on board and when we created the private limited company, whereas Neil, before that, had been a sole trader. So we had both running at the same time then. Because the areas are next to each other, Neil actually drives through the Wakefield territory to get to the Bradford territory. So it's a good fit.
Yeah, I'll do a chunk of Wakefield as well as Bradford. And then we've got us other driver as well.
Okay. Good. And that running two separate territories as a husband-wife team, do you guys get on most of the time? Is there any arguments? Is there any disagreements?
We have those moments. I could tell you that.
Because I couldn't work with my wife. We kill each other in about 6 weeks, I reckon.
No, I think we said because we understand each other, so we go with that. And there aren't many people that can make me stop and think, but I do know that when it's something that's Neil's strength, I will. And he just looks at me and I'm like, yeah, fine. That's not my bit. But it's vice versa. So it does work, doesn't it? It's just what we do. But yeah, we do get on quite well, as much as I'd like to hear what everyone say.
Yeah, I mean, I'd hope you would get on fairly well, seeing as you've now married each other. Yeah. You are known as the Agency Express love story internally, that we like to think that we brought you together. But one thing I'm really interested to understand is what's a day-to-day like up in sunny Yorkshire for Agency Express Bradford, / Wakefield, / York now as well. What does that look like? What you're out of bed, first cup of tea, first brews on the go. What happens next?
It's just a case of getting your van and get to your first job.
For you.
For me,
So do you load the vans the night before and produce your route list the night before, or do you load in the morning?
so yeah, vans are always loaded on a night. So first jobs, just get there, get on with your work, just go through it all, get home, have an hour, and go back to it, load your van again, take
Go
out
again.
what you need, put in what you do.
And how many jobs a day do you cover per van within your territories?
Oh, it's different. I can do between 55 to
80 plus.
80 plus easy a day. Kevin's is a bit more of a bigger area, and he can do like 50, 65.
His average is,
He's-
I would say, is now knocking up 60.
Yeah.
York,
And that comes with a bit of practice, doesn't it? I think something
Yeah.
that people are often nervous about when they come through that transition phase from being a prospective franchisee to then training course and then actually starting is how many jobs we can actually do. And often when you sit down and say to them, oh yeah, 50, 60, 70 jobs a day, they sort of look at you with that face, and how is that possible?
Yeah.
But it's something that just comes with a bit of practice.
The more you get, the easier it gets, because they just clump together, and you're in and out of them all the time. Then
you're falling from
you're
one
not
job.
traveling.
Yeah. And so with your storage units, or where you keep your boards, because obviously with 3 operational territories now, you must have a lot of stock that you have to look after for customers, boards and posts and slips.
Yeah.
Where do you keep your kit and equipment? It's obviously not in the downstairs loo.
No, we are quite lucky. This house comes with a third of an acre of land, and right at the bottom were 2 that were built with the house, original garage with a, what do they call it, where the
It's had
cardboard,
a
pit. And then next to that was it was basically a lean-to, but glorified,
like a
corrugated,
potting shed.
Okay.
both falling down. When we got Wakefield, so we were using both of them. Bradford was in the garage, Wakefield was in the potting shed. So we basically demolished them and built a purpose-built.
Purpose-built.
And is this where you hide, Neil, when you need some time to yourself? This is where you escape to?
Yeah.
You're just out there painting posts and breaking boards down.
Painting posts, yeah.
Absolutely.
That's my go-to.
Okay. And then more recently, there's been more growth for you guys. So we started off with Halifax and Huddersfield. And correct me if I'm wrong, I'm remembering the timeline here because it's been many years. Then, that was sold and you purchased Bradford. And then you ran Bradford yourself. Then Julie comes on the scene, the Agency Express love story happens, and you buy Wakefield. And now, a recent acquisition for you guys is York. And this is relatively new addition to your network of territories. Okay. And how has that been going? Because it must be kind of almost like starting again, I guess. You're going into new territory, different customers, sales visits and all that sort of stuff. How's it been going?
Yeah.
It's interesting because they are like their own little clumps. It's Bradford, I mean, obviously Neil's got the most experience. So if you're looking at the left of the map, is Neil in Bradford, and he's falling from one job to another because they're so close to each other. Like Neil said, Wakefield, it's got that little bit of distance. York, there's a lot more green space. York's a beautiful place, and Ken loves driving round, but you've got your village, a small village, and then you've got a lot of green space and then a small village. York was not built for vans and as many cars.
Well, it was built quite a long time ago, I suppose. We can let them off for that.
So we didn't even think about where he has to put a board and where he can actually get parked. So that's sometimes a challenge for him because he has to park up and then it's a fair distance to get to the board. But yeah, it's just, Ken loves it. So if somebody's happy to go to work, then it's a winner, isn't it?
Absolutely. 100%. If you're enjoying what you do, that's the holy grail, I think.
Yes.
So if you were doing it, well, first of all, would you do it again? Let's ask that question. That's always a good one to ask because always a dangerous question to ask. But if you could do it all over again, would you do it again?
I mean, I've done it 4 times now.
Yeah, that is true. This is true.
But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you were starting again and knowing what you know now, having been through this process, been with this and it's really interesting always to talk to someone like yourself who's been with us for a long time because you've seen all of those changes through Agency Express as well, not just the changes for you personally, but how we've grown as a company and changed in that time. But knowing what you know now, what would you tell yourself back then?
Do your due diligence, is find out your competitors, see what the workload is, what your agents are like, how many you've got, where they are.
And what about you, Julie, knowing what you know now?
I don't think I didn't mention my day-to-day, did I? So when we initially
Oh,
got
sorry. Yes. Go ahead, please.
when we initially got Wakefield, I still had a day job, but it was quite a high demanding day job. 2021 we started with Wakefield, so it was mid 2023 when I actually left my day job because it was just working all day, still working my day job at night, but then coming home because of the improvements with Signmaster. Neil is not very techie, so there was a lot of things that he just didn't get, but he will admit to that. But that's where the things that I could pick up, but trying to pick that up after you've done a full day at work was quite difficult. So that's why I finished. Obviously, we knew we'd got to have that financial impact, but it's so rewarding working for yourself. And the role I had, I'm a people person. I'm a problem solver. So for me, when the phone's ringing non-stop all day from agents, head office, any of the other franchisees, I will solve the problem. And that's what I love doing. And I love being on tap for anybody, with the questions. So I find it all really rewarding. And I know that I can use my strengths.
Absolutely. And what I was about to say, I think you're very much seen as the mother hen up in Yorkshire. You get everyone organised, make sure everyone's doing what they're meant to be doing. And even for those franchisees, I think it's an often overlooked part of franchising is it's not just about the franchisor and the head office support you get. It's also about the support you get from each other.
Yeah.
And you build that local network, and you guys all know each other really well, and you've worked together for a long time. And then when someone new comes in, you just welcome them into that fold, and they become, part of the family. So it's a lovely thing. Yeah. Okay. Right. So one thing to finish on then, if you could give one bit of advice to anyone looking into franchising or looking into Agency Express or both, what would it be?
If you think you can do it and it's something that you want to do for yourself, do it.
Yeah.
The support that you get is unreal.
Yeah, and that's what I was just going to say, and reach out to others. I know we've discussed another territory, and you asked us, was it okay if they could reach out and ask us any questions that they had? I think that is really important because you get to understand that, obviously you're head office, you could be selling them. You can cut this, but it's just like they
can. No, definitely leaving this in. Yeah, go on.
They can phone us and they get the day-to-day nitty-gritty, and it's the true story, the true day-to-day living. And I think it was Sam that's mentioned that he can switch off. I think I heard him say in one of the meetings, whereas I don't. But that's what I prefer. I'm quite happy to sit and answer emails at a ridiculous time, or I'm on social media following people. You've got to go with your interests, and that is what interests me. Neil likes putting the boards up. He likes driving around and talking to people through the day. But when he comes home, he wants to load his van, done, which is fine. It's looking at,
working from home. There's always that way. If you forgot something for van, just go down and put it on. It's ideal for us.
Yeah. But there will be
new shed.
No next territory.
The new shed. Yeah, I think that's I think it needs a proper name though. We've got to come up with a name for it. But the most important thing for me, for any franchisee when they come on, is that they enjoy what they do. Because if you enjoy what you do, if you feel rewarded at the end of it, then ultimately you never work a day in your life, right? It doesn't mean it's not hard and you're not grafting and it's not you're not putting the shift in, but you are feeling the benefit of it. And I think that's really what you're trying to say. Guys, look, it has been a huge pleasure to have you on the Agency Express Love Story. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak to me. If you are looking for board services, of course, up in Yorkshire, then you obviously need to speak to Neil and Julie, but of course you probably already have done. So I don't need to introduce you. So I'll finish up with just by saying thank you so much for joining us today, and hopefully we'll see you again soon on Board Shorts.